I'm sitting at the head of the dining room table, my grandmother's table, in my grandmother's house, which is legally, unambiguously my asterisk house, and I've never seen my mother this shade of white. It's New Year's Day, mid-morning. The coffee I made an hour ago has gone cold in everyone's cups. Across from me sit my parents. Mom, 61, in the cashmere cardigan I gave her for Christmas. Dad, 63, wearing the reading glasses that make him look distinguished when really he just needs them to see. To their left, my younger brother Ryan and his wife Brittany, both looking like they'd rather be literally anywhere else. On the table between us, a notarized deed, 3 years of property tax receipts printed and highlighted, utility bills, repair invoices, and 2 neatly stapled documents Diane helped me draft. My hands are steady. That surprises me. I'd thought they might shake. You have 2 options, I say, and my voice comes out calmer than I feel. You can sign this lease agreement and pay fair market rent, $1,800 a month, with a standard 30-day termination clause, and house rules will all follow. Or you can make me an offer to buy the house at the appraised value, which is $285,000. I let that sit for exactly 3 seconds. If you choose neither, I'll begin formal eviction proceedings on January 15th. My mother's face has progressed from white to a blotchy red. My father's jaw is doing that thing where it clenches and unclenches like he's chewing on words he can't quite spit out. Ryan won't look at me. Brittany is staring at the deed like it might rearrange itself into something that makes sense. I should feel triumphant. Maybe I will later. Right now I mostly feel tired and sad and absolutely, unshakably certain. 10 days ago, Christmas morning, my parents changed the Wi-Fi password and didn't tell me. That was the moment I stopped pretending this was still my family home and started remembering it was my house. That they've been living in my house. That I've been letting them live in my house while they've treated me like an unwelcome guest whose lease they've been trying to terminate for 3 years. Let me tell you how I got here. Christmas morning. I wake up at 7:30 in what used to be my childhood bedroom, the one with the window seat where Grandma and I used to read together on summer afternoons, but which my mother redecorated 2 years ago into a guest suite with beige everything and motivational signs that say things like live, laugh, love, and bloom where you're planted. I hate those signs. Grandma would have hated them too. I can hear voices downstairs. Laughter. The particular squealing pitch of my 3-year-old nephew discovering presents. I'd set my alarm for 7 because I wanted to be there when he woke up, but apparently everyone else had the same idea and just didn't wake me. Or didn't think to. Or, and this is the option I'm increasingly sure is correct, actively chose not to. I pull on jeans and the sweater I bought myself. No one in this family knows my size or taste well enough to buy me clothes anymore, and I've stopped dropping hints and head downstairs. The living room is already in full Christmas chaos, wrapping paper everywhere. My nephew Mason, surrounded by approximately 8,000 plastic toys that will be broken or forgotten by February. Ryan and Brittany on the couch, looking tired but happy in that new parent way. My parents in the matching armchairs they claimed years ago as theirs, though Grandma bought them at an estate sale in 1987, and they were her favorite reading spot. No one saved me a seat. "Oh, honey, you're up." My mother's voice has that particular bright, sharp quality that always makes me feel like I've done something wrong just by existing. "We didn't want to wake you. You work so hard, you need your sleep." It's phrased like concern. It lands like exclusion. "Merry Christmas," I say to the room in general. A few distracted, "Merry Christmas"-ese echo back. Mason doesn't look up from the fire truck he's ramming into the coffee table leg. I go to the kitchen and make coffee because I'm going to need it. When I come back, Ryan's filming Mason with his phone, the proud dad capturing the magic of Christmas morning, and I have a little spike of anxiety because I'm on call for a client this week. We're in the middle of a complex commercial real estate deal, and if they email, I need to respond fast. I pull out my phone to check. No signal, or rather signal but no Wi-Fi, and the cell service in this neighborhood is terrible. The house is practically a dead zone without the router. I try to connect. The network name is the same, Caldwell home, but when I enter the password we've used for years, it doesn't work. I try again. Invalid password. Hey, Dad, I call into the living room. Is the Wi-Fi down? There's a pause. Then my father looks up from his phone, which is clearly connected. I can see the little Wi-Fi symbol at the top of his screen and smiles. Actually smiles. Oh, we changed the password last night. Didn't want the network getting bogged down with everyone here today. I blink. What's the new password? I'll get it to you later, sweetheart. Just use your data for now. From the couch, Ryan laughs. Not a malicious laugh exactly. More like the laugh of someone who's in on a joke and doesn't think it's a big deal. Yeah, Jenna, you're on your phone too much anyway. It's Christmas. My mother doesn't even look up from watching Mason. It's nice to have family time without everyone on their devices, don't you think? I stand there in the doorway between the kitchen and the living room, holding my coffee mug, and something in my chest goes very still and very cold. They planned this. They changed the password to the internet that I pay for in the house that I own, and they did it specifically so I couldn't have it. So I'd be cut off. So I'd be reminded in some small, petty, plausibly deniable way that I don't really belong here. That this is their space, their family, their Christmas, and I'm... What? The spinster daughter who still lives at home. The burden. The guest who's overstayed her welcome. Right, I say quietly. Family time. I go back upstairs. I use my hotspot, running up my data plan, which I pay for, to access my work email, which I need for the job that pays for the property taxes and insurance and every major repair on this house, and I respond to my client. Then I sit on the edge of the beige guest bed in my childhood room, and I feel something I haven't let myself feel in 3 years. Ray. Not the hot, explosive kind, the cold kind, the kind that clarifies. I walk to my closet and pull down the banker's box I've kept on the top shelf since I moved back in. The one labeled, in my own neat handwriting, Grandma's estate. I haven't opened it in 2 years, haven't needed to. But now I pull off the lid and start going through the documents inside, and with every page I feel a little more like myself. Like the version of myself I used to be before I moved back here and let myself become small. Deed, transfer on death, recorded with the county. Eleanor Margaret Caldwell to Jenna Marie Caldwell. The house. This house, all of it, the 3 bedrooms and 2 baths and the big front porch and the oak tree in the backyard, passed to me the day Grandma died. Not to my mother, not to the family. To me. I need to go back further than Christmas if you're going to understand why that deed matters so much. I need to tell you about Grandma. Eleanor Caldwell, my mother's mother, was the first person who ever made me feel like I was more than just the difficult daughter, the girl who asked too many questions, the child who cried too easily and tried too hard and never quite fit the mold my parents wanted. Grandma was a second-grade teacher for 34 years. She retired the year I was born, which meant I got all of her attention, all of her patience, all of the skills she'd honed on thousands of children who needed someone to believe they were smart. She lived 20 minutes away in the house she'd bought in 1972, a year after my grandfather died, and left her widowed at 39 with a 10-year-old daughter, my mom, and a mortgage and a teaching salary that barely covered it. She paid off that house in 15 years, refinanced once to put my mom through college, never remarried, never moved, never seemed to need anything she didn't already have. I spent every weekend at Grandma's house from the time I was 5 until I left for college, while Ryan was at football practice or hanging out with his friends, the golden child, the easy one, the son my father had always wanted. I was at Grandma's kitchen table learning to play chess, or on her living room floor doing my homework, or in her backyard reading under the oak tree. She's the one who told me I should go to law school. I'd been thinking about it. I was good at arguing, good at research, good at finding the holes in things, but I wasn't sure. You'd make an excellent lawyer, Grandma said. She was 73 then, starting to slow down but still sharp as ever. You see through people's nonsense. That's a gift, Jenna, don't waste it. So I went. I took the LSAT, applied, got into a decent school. Grandma helped with tuition. Not a lot, she didn't have a lot, but enough to make the difference between drowning in debt and just swimming in it. I graduated, passed the bar on the first try, got a job at a mid-size firm doing real estate and contract law. I was good at it. I liked it. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. My parents were politely disinterested. My dad made jokes about lady lawyers. My mom kept asking when I'd meet someone and settle down. Ryan, meanwhile, had dropped out of college halfway through, bounced between sales jobs, and was still treated like he'd hung the moon because he was charming and made friends easily and didn't challenge anyone. But Grandma was proud. She kept a copy of my bar admission certificate on her fridge. When she got sick, heart failure, the kind that creeps up slowly and then all at once, I was 30. I'd been working for 6 years, had my own apartment, had a life. But when the doctor said she needed full-time care, I didn't even think about it. I took FMLA leave. I moved into her house. I slept in the guest room and made her breakfast and drove her to appointments and sat with her in the evenings watching Jeopardy, which she still won even when she could barely stay awake. My mother visited twice in those 3 months. Ryan didn't come at all. He was busy with work, which I later found out meant he was on a ski trip in Colorado. Grandma died on a Tuesday in October 3 years ago. She was 78. I was holding her hand. At the funeral, my mother cried beautifully. People kept telling her how hard this must be, losing her mother. And it was hard for her, I'm sure it was. But she hadn't been there. She hadn't sat through the nights when Grandma couldn't breathe, hadn't changed the sheets, hadn't learned how to measure out medications, hadn't done any of it. I had. The will reading was the following week. The lawyer, Grandma's longtime attorney, a kind man in his 70s named Mr. Paulson, read through the document in his quiet office that smelled like old books and lemon furniture polish. Most of it was expected. Small bequests to her church, to a literacy nonprofit she'd loved. Her savings, not much, maybe 30,000, split between my mother and me. And then, I leave my home and property at 428 Maple Street to my granddaughter, Jenna Marie Caldwell, who has always been there when I needed her, and who I trust to take care of it, and to take care of the people in it if they need taking care of. The silence in that office was deafening. My mother's face went very still. "The house," she said slowly. "She left Jenna the house." "That's correct," Mr. Paulson said. "But," my mother looked at me, then at the lawyer, then back at me. "That's the family home. That's where I grew up," she can't have meant. "Mrs. Caldwell was very clear about her wishes," Mr. Paulson said gently. I was still numb from grief. I barely understood what was happening. I just nodded. Afterward, in the parking lot, my mother took my hands and said, "Well, of course we'll all live there together. It's too big for you alone, sweetheart, and your father and I have been thinking about downsizing anyway. This works out perfectly. We'll be one big family." And I, grieving, exhausted, desperate to do the right thing, to honor Grandma, to not make waves, said yes. I moved into Grandma's house. My parents moved in 2 weeks later. And I have regretted it almost every single day since. I need to tell you what the last 3 years have actually looked like, because from the outside, I'm sure it seemed fine. Probably even nice. Multi-generational living, adult daughter helping aging parents, everyone under one roof in Grandma's cozy craftsman with the wraparound porch and the garden she spent 40 years tending. From the inside, it's been a slow-motion erasure. It started small. Little things I told myself didn't matter. My dad changed the thermostat settings the first week. Locked them, actually. Put one of those plastic covers over it that you need a key to open. 68 degrees is plenty, he said. Your grandmother kept it at 65 in the winter. You're being wasteful. Never mind that I'm the one paying the gas bill. Never mind that Grandma kept it at 65 because she was on a fixed income and wore sweaters, and she told me before she died, "When this is yours, keep it warm." I always wanted to keep it warmer. Then it was the TV. Dad claimed the living room every evening. Remote in hand, watching whatever he wanted. If I was already watching something, a documentary, the news, anything, he'd walk in and say, "You mind if I put on the game?" and change it before I could answer. If I said I was watching something, he'd say, "You can watch that on your laptop upstairs." Upstairs, in the guest room. That used to be my room. My mother redecorated it 8 months after they moved in. I came home from work one day and the walls were beige instead of the soft blue Grandma had painted for me when I was 12. My bookshelf, the one Grandpa built before he died, the one Grandma refinished and gave to me when I graduated high school, was in the basement. "It didn't fit the aesthetic," Mom said. "This is a guest room now, honey. It needs to be neutral." "I'm not a guest," I said. "I live here." She laughed and patted my arm. "Of course you do, sweetheart, but someday you'll move out and then we'll need this for actual guests." Actual guests. She threw out half my kitchen supplies during a reorganization 6 months in. My good knives, the ones I'd saved up for when I first moved into my own apartment. My stand mixer, my matching set of ceramic bowls. "We don't need 2 of everything," she said. I kept the nicer set. Hers were from a big box store, bought in 1987. Mine were from Williams-Sonoma, purchased with my first bonus check. I found them in the donation pile by the curb. I didn't take them back. I don't know why. I think I was just so tired. The garage was next. I used to park in there. It's a 2-car garage, plenty of room, but Dad started filling it with his stuff. His workbench that he never uses. Boxes of things from their old house that never got unpacked. My mom's holiday decorations, which apparently require 40% of a 2-car garage. "There's no room for your car," Dad said. "You'll have to park on the street." So I park on the street, in front of my own house. In the Ohio winter, scraping ice off my windshield every morning while my parents' cars sit cozy and dry in my garage. But the worst part, the part that makes my chest tight even now, is the money. I pay the property tax, $6,000 a year every year on time. I pay the homeowner's insurance, $1,800 annually. When the roof needed replacing last year after that bad storm, I paid $12,000 out of pocket because the damage didn't quite meet the insurance deductible. New water heater 2 years ago, $2,000. Furnace maintenance, gutter cleaning, the plumber when the main line backed up, the electrician when the breaker box started sparking. Me. My parents pay some of the utilities. Not all, not consistently, but some. Maybe $200 a month when they remember. I did the math once in a fit of masochism. Over 3 years, I've put about $45,000 into this house. They've contributed maybe $8. And they treat me like I'm the freeloader. My mother makes comments, constant little comments, about my weight. "Are you sure you need seconds, honey? You've been stress eating." About my job, still at the firm. "I thought you'd have made partner by now. Or is that not really a thing for women?" About my relationship status. "You're 32, Jenna. If you want kids, you need to think about timeline. Men don't want women who wait too long." About my life choices. "It's so sad you're still living at home. What do you tell people?" I tell them I moved back after my grandmother died to take care of family business. Which is true. I just didn't realize the family business would be letting my parents colonize my inheritance while treating me like an embarrassing dependent. Ryan, meanwhile, is the golden child. Still, always. He lives 2 towns over in a rental he can barely afford. He's worked 6 different sales jobs in the last 5 years, never lasting more than 10 months anywhere. His wife, Brittany, is sweet, but they're drowning financially. I've seen the credit card offers that come in the mail when they visit, the ones they leave on the counter. They had Mason 3 years ago, and my parents babysit for free every single week, overnight sometimes. They lend Ryan money constantly. I've heard the conversations. "Just $500 to get through the month, Dad. Can you cover our car payment? I'll pay you back." He never pays them back. And somehow, he's the success story. Ryan's doing so well, my mother tells her book club friends when they come over for wine. He's in medical device sales now, very competitive field. He's a natural. I'm in the kitchen when I hear this, cleaning up the cheese plates she asked me to prepare for her guests, and I want to scream. I'm a lawyer. I have a career. I own property. I pay my bills. But Ryan, chronically underemployed, chronically broke Ryan, is the one she brags about. The thing that really broke me, though, happened about 4 months ago. I was working from home. I do that sometimes when I don't have court or meetings, and my parents had friends over for lunch. The Hendersons, an older couple from their church. I stayed upstairs to give them privacy, but the house has thin floors and I could hear everything. Mrs. Henderson asked how I was doing. "Oh, Jenna," my mother said, and I could hear the sigh in her voice. "She's still here, still single, still just working. We keep hoping she'll meet someone, get her own place, but I think she's comfortable here. It's hard to push a bird out of the nest when she doesn't want to fly." I sat at my desk, the desk in the guest room in my house that I own, and I couldn't breathe for a minute. Then Mr. Henderson said, "Well, at least you have the house, something to pass down to Ryan and his family eventually." "Exactly," my dad said. "When Ryan inherits this place, he'll take good care of it. Mason will grow up here, maybe. Grandkids in the house Alina loved. That would make her happy." When Ryan inherits this place. I'd heard them say things like that before, vague references to someday and down the line and when we're gone. But this was different. This was stated as fact, as a plan, as something already decided. I went downstairs. I walked right into the dining room where they were eating the quiche my mother had made in my kitchen with my utilities. "Actually," I said, and 4 faces turned to me in surprise, "I inherited this house. Grandma left it to me. My name is on the deed." There was a beat of silence. Then my mother laughed, that light, dismissive laugh that makes me feel like I'm 10 years old and being silly. "Oh, honey, yes, technically it's in your name for estate purposes, but you know Grandma meant it for all of us, for the family." "She left it to me," I said. "Jenna, don't be selfish," my dad said. "We're not having this conversation in front of guests." I looked at the Hendersons. Mrs. Henderson was staring at her plate. Mr. Henderson was cutting his quiche with great concentration. "Right," I said. "Sorry to interrupt." I went back upstairs, and I didn't come down for the rest of the day. That night, I almost looked up real estate lawyers. Almost started asking questions about my rights, about how you set boundaries when people are living in your house. But I didn't, because they were my parents, because I was tired. Because I'd spent 3 years telling myself that this was what Grandma meant when she said, "Take care of the people in it if they need taking care of." I told myself I was being a good daughter, a good granddaughter. I told myself it was fine. And then, 4 months later, they changed the Wi-Fi password on Christmas morning and I realized, it's not fine. It's never been fine. And I'm done pretending. Christmas night, after everyone goes to bed, Ryan and Brittany left around 8, taking an exhausted Mason home. My parents retreated to the master bedroom, Grandma's room, the one with the good windows and the en-suite bathroom, by 9. I'm still awake. I'm sitting on the beige guest bed with my laptop and Grandma's estate box, and I'm shaking. Not from cold, from rage, from 3 years of swallowed feelings coming up all at once. I pull out my phone and I call Marcus. Marcus Chen has been my best friend since law school. He's corporate law, works in New York now, makes 3 times what I make and lives in a dorman building in Brooklyn. We text almost every day. He's one of maybe 5 people in my life who actually sees me. He answers on the second ring. "Jenna, Merry Christmas. Please tell me you're calling from literally anywhere other than your parents' house." "I'm calling from my house," I say. My voice sounds strange. "Which my parents are living in, and they changed the Wi-Fi password this morning and didn't tell me." Silence, then, "I'm sorry, what?" I tell him everything. The Christmas morning exclusion, the password, my dad's smirk, Ryan's laugh. And then, because I'm apparently having a breakdown, I tell him the rest. The thermostat, the guest room, the kitchen supplies, the garage, the money, the constant dismissal, the assumption that Ryan will inherit the house that is legally mine. I'm crying by the end of it. I hate that I'm crying. "Jenna," Marcus says, and his voice is very quiet and very serious. "Why are you living like this?" "Because it's what Grandma wanted. She said to take care of." "Your grandma gave you the house to protect you, not to trap you. You know that, right?" I don't say anything. "Jenna, you own that house. Your name is on the deed. They're living there for free while treating you like shit. Why haven't you?" He stops, recalibrates. Okay, have you talked to a lawyer about this? I am a lawyer. A real estate lawyer who isn't emotionally involved. Someone who can give you actual options. I look at the deed in my lap. Jenna Marie Caldwell, sole owner. I don't want to kick my parents out of their home. It's not their home. Marcus's voice cracks with frustration. It's your home. They're living in your house, refusing to respect you, and apparently planning to steal it out from under you. How is that honoring your grandmother? I don't know, I whisper. Call someone tomorrow, Marcus says. A lawyer, a therapist, someone, because this is not okay. This is financial abuse. This is emotional abuse, and you don't have to live like this. We talk for another 20 minutes. He makes me laugh a little, tells me about his chaotic Chinese-American family Christmas that involves approximately 8,000 dumplings and his grandmother asking when he's getting married. Normal family dysfunction, the kind that's annoying but not soul-destroying. When we hang up, I sit in the silence of the guest room and I look at the box of documents. Then I open my laptop and I search. Real Estate Attorney, Columbus, Ohio. I find 3 that look promising. I draft an email, professional, brief, vague about details, asking if they do consultations about property ownership and tenancy issues. I don't send it, not yet. Instead, I go to my firm's internal directory and I look up Diane Kowalski. She's in our real estate division, about 10 years older than me, sharp as hell. We've worked on a few deals together. I like her. More importantly, I trust her. I draft an email to her, delete it, draft another one. Finally, at 1 a.m, I send, Deanne, hope you had a good holiday. I have a personal legal question about property law, nothing urgent, but could I buy you coffee sometime after New Year's? Would really appreciate your take on something. She responds at 8 the next morning. Of course, January 2nd work, I'm curious now. December 26th is strange and quiet. My parents don't mention the Wi-Fi password. No one mentions anything. We move around each other like polite strangers. I work from my room, using my phone's hotspot. My data usage climbs. On the 27th, I'm scrolling through my email, still on hotspot, still paying for data in my own house, and I see that my parents' iPad is on the kitchen counter, unlocked. I shouldn't look. I know I shouldn't. I look anyway. It's logged into my mother's iCloud. Her messages are syncing. I scroll back through her conversation with Ryan. Past the Christmas logistics, the photos of Mason, the recipe swap with Brittany. And then I see it, dated November 3rd, 2 months ago. Mom, we need to talk about the house situation. Ryan, what situation? Mom, Jenna's name is on the deed. If she ever gets married or decides to sell, we could end up with nothing. We need to get her to sign it over to us before she gets ideas. Ryan, how are you going to do that? Mom, I'll tell her it's for estate planning, that it'll be easier for tax purposes if it's in our names, then we can leave it to you and her jointly. She'll do whatever I say if I frame it right. She always does. Ryan, okay, let me know if you need me to back you up on it. Mom, your father's going to handle the paperwork. We just need to wait for the right moment. I read it 3 times. Then I take screenshots. I airdrop them to my phone. I clear the airdrop history. I put the iPad back exactly where I found it. And I go upstairs to the guest room, and I lie down on the beige bed, and I stare at the ceiling, and I think, they were going to steal it. They were actively planning to manipulate me into signing away the house my grandmother left me. The house she left me specifically, because she knew I'd take care of it. The house she left me, because she trusted me. I'm done being a good daughter. I'm done being easy. I'm done. On January 2nd, I meet Diane at a coffee shop downtown, far from the firm and far from my house. She orders an Americano. I order chamomile tea because my stomach is in knots. So, she says, settling into the chair across from me, what's going on? I take a breath, and then I tell her. I tell her about Grandma, about the will, about my parents moving in, about the 3 years of slow colonization, about the money I've paid. About the texts I found, the plan to get me to sign the house over. About the Wi-Fi password. Diane listens without interrupting. She's good at that. It's what makes her an excellent lawyer. When I'm done, she's quiet for a long moment. Is your name the only name on the deed? She asks. Yes. Have you signed anything in the last 3 years that could have transferred ownership or created a joint tenancy? I think, no. Mom asked me to sign some things she said were for estate planning about 6 months ago, but I read them first. They were updating their own wills, nothing about the house. Good. Do they pay you rent? No. Do you have any written agreement with them about the living arrangement? No. When they moved in, Mom just said, we'll all live here together as a family. There was nothing formal. Diane nods slowly. She wraps her hands around her coffee cup. Jenna, I need you to hear this clearly. You are allowing your parents to live rent-free in a property you own while they actively disrespect you and plot to steal it from you. Legally speaking, they're tenants at will. You have every right to set terms or ask them to leave. The words hit me like cold water. I can't just kick them out, I say. They're my parents. I'm not saying you should. I'm saying you could. There's a difference. She leans forward. You have options, Jenna. You can establish a formal lease, charge them fair market rent, set house rules, create boundaries. You can offer to let them buy the house from you at market value if they want to own it so badly. Or yes, you can begin eviction proceedings, though that would take 60 to 90 days in Ohio and would obviously nuke the relationship. What would you do? I ask. She's quiet for a moment. Honestly, I'd present them with a lease agreement at fair market rent or a buyout option. Give them a choice. But I'd also have eviction as the backup plan if they refuse. You need leverage, Jenna. Right now they think they have all the power. You need to show them the truth. Fair market rent for a 3-bedroom house in my neighborhood would be about $1,800 a month, maybe $2,000. Over 3 years, that would have been $65,000. I've received 0. They'll hate me, I say quietly. Maybe, Diane says, or maybe they'll finally respect you. Either way, you'll stop letting them steal from you. She offers to draft the documents for me, a formal lease agreement, a buyout offer based on a professional appraisal. And just in case, the preliminary paperwork for eviction. Don't file anything yet, she says, but have it ready, know your options. And Jenna, she catches my eye, stop setting yourself on fire to keep them warm. Your grandmother didn't leave you that house so you could be a martyr. She left it to you so you'd be taken care of. I think about Grandma, about the quiet strength she had, the way she never let anyone diminish her, the way she taught me to play chess. Always know what pieces you have and what they're worth. Don't give away your queen just because someone asks nicely. I've been giving away my queen for 3 years. Over the next 3 days, I become a forensic accountant of my own life. I take the week off work. I have vacation days saved up, hadn't taken a real break in over a year, and I tell my parents I'm doing end-of-year financial planning for a client. Not technically a lie. I am doing financial planning. The client just happens to be me. I start with the deed. I pull the official recorded copy from the county assessor's website, print it on heavy paper like it's a sacred document, which in a way it is. Transfer on death deed recorded October 15th, 3 years ago, the day after Grandma's funeral. Grantor, Eleanor Margaret Caldwell. Grantee, Jenna Marie Caldwell. Legal description of the property, parcel number, the county stamp making it official. My name, only my name. I'd looked at this document before, obviously, when Mr. Paulson first gave it to me. But I'd never really seen it. Never let myself understand what it meant. I'd been so focused on what I thought Grandma wanted, family, togetherness, taking care of people, that I'd ignored what she actually did which was put this house solely in my name. Next, property tax records. I log into the county treasurer's website and pull every payment receipt for the last 3 years. December 2020, $5,847, paid by Jenna Caldwell via electronic check. December 2021, $6,015, paid by Jenna Caldwell via electronic check. December 2022, $6,184 paid by Jenna Caldwell via electronic check. Total, $18,046. I download the receipts, print them, highlight my name on each one. Homeowner's insurance comes next. I pull up my policy documents, my payment history. 3 years of premiums, $1,750 annually, auto withdrawal from my checking account. Total, $5,250. Then the repairs. This takes longer because I have to go through my email and my bank statements. I'm meticulous about record keeping, occupational hazard, so I have everything. The roof replacement last April, $12,300 to Morrison & Sons Roofing, paid via cashier's check. The water heater in January 2 years ago, $2,100 to Collins Plumbing. Furnace maintenance contracts, gutter cleaning, the emergency electrical work when the breaker box started sparking, the plumber when the main line backed up, the tree service when the big branch came down in that ice storm. I make a spreadsheet. I'm good at spreadsheets. Date, vendor, service amount. I color code it. Red for major repairs, orange for maintenance, yellow for utilities. By the time I'm done, the total is $47,328. $47,328 I've put into this house in 3 years. For comparison, I go through my parents' contributions. This is harder because they pay some utilities directly. Electric and water are in my dad's name. Gas is in mine. I have to estimate based on the bills I've seen. The occasional Venmo transfers my mom sends with notes like, for the water bill, or electric this month. I'm generous in my estimates, maybe overly generous, and I still come up with only $8,200 over 3 years. I sit back and look at the numbers on my laptop screen. I've contributed $47,328. They've contributed $8,200. That's an 85-15 split. And they think Ryan's going to inherit this place. I pull out my phone and look again at the screenshots I took from my mother's iPad. The texts with Ryan. We need to get her to sign it over before she gets ideas. I forward the screenshots to my personal email, back them up to 3 different cloud services. I'm not taking any chances. Then I start looking for other documents. I go through the filing cabinet in my room, the one my dad asked me to move out of the study because it takes up too much space, and I find copies of everything I signed when my parents moved in. Which is to say, nothing. There's no rental agreement, no lease, no contract of any kind. Just a card my mother gave me the day they moved in with a Hallmark message about family and a handwritten note. Thank you for opening your heart and your home. Love, Mom. I'd thought it was sweet at the time. Now I see it for what it is, plausible deniability. Nothing in writing means nothing enforceable. They could claim anything, that we agreed they'd own it jointly, that Grandma promised them the house, that this was always the plan. Without documentation, it's my word against theirs. Except I have the deed, and the deed doesn't lie. I find one more thing in the filing cabinet. The documents my mother asked me to sign 6 months ago. The estate planning paperwork. I'd read them carefully before signing. I'm a lawyer, I don't sign things blindly, but I pull them out again now and read them with fresh eyes. They're my parents' updated wills. Boilerplate language, nothing fancy. They leave everything to our children, Ryan James Caldwell and Jenna Marie Caldwell, in equal shares. Everything, which they seem to believe includes this house. There's also a healthcare power of attorney form, standard stuff, nomming each other as primary and Ryan as secondary. I'm listed as tertiary, third choice. What there isn't, anything about the house at 428 Maple Street, anything that would transfer or cloud my title, anything I need to worry about legally. My mother must have planned to slip something in that I wouldn't read carefully, but she underestimated me. People do that a lot. I take everything, the deed, the tax receipts, the insurance documents, the repair invoices, the spreadsheet, the screenshots, all of it, and I make 2 copies. One goes in my safe deposit box at the bank. One goes in a folder I upload to the cloud and share with Marcus with instructions. If anything happens to me, or if I suddenly agree to sign the house over to my parents, assume I'm being coerced and call this lawyer. I include Diane's contact information. Marcus texts back immediately. Jesus Christ, Jenna, are you okay? I'm fine, I type. I'm just being thorough. This is not fine person behavior. This is preparing for war behavior. Maybe, I respond, but if it's war, I'm going to win. On January 2nd, I meet Diane at her office instead of the coffee shop. She's pulled comps for my neighborhood, recent sales, rental listings, market analysis. We sit in her conference room with the documents spread out between us. Fair market value for your house, based on recent comparable sales in the area, is between $275 and $295, she says, sliding the appraisal summary across the table. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1,800 square feet, good bones, mature landscaping, desirable neighborhood. If you wanted to sell, you'd list at $285 and probably get it. $285,000. For the house Grandma bought in 1972 for $39,000. And rent, I ask. Fair market rent for a house that size in that area is $1,800 to $2,000 a month, depending on condition and amenities. Your house is well maintained. You've seen to that, so I'd say $1,800 is more than fair, even generous. $1,800 a month, times 36 months. $64,800 I could have collected. Instead, I've collected $0, while paying $47,000 in expenses. Here's what I'm proposing, Diane says. She opens her laptop and pulls up a document. Option 1, a standard residential lease agreement, 1-year term renewable, rent of $1,800 per month due on the 1st, security deposit equal to 1 month's rent, that's standard in Ohio. Utilities split fairly based on usage. Standard tenant responsibilities, no damage to the property, no subletting, quiet enjoyment. Landlord responsibilities. You maintain the major systems, they're responsible for minor repairs under $100. Normal stuff. She shows me the draft. It looks like every lease agreement I've ever reviewed professionally. Seeing my parents' names in the tenant fields and mine in the landlord field makes my stomach turn. Option 2, Diane continues, is a purchase agreement. You offer to sell them the house at the appraised value, let's say $285. They'd need to qualify for a mortgage or pay cash. Standard contingencies, 30-day escrow, you'd move out and they'd have the house they seem to think is theirs anyway. They can't afford that, I say quietly. They're living on Dad's pension and Social Security. They have some savings, but not enough for a down payment on a mortgage they could never qualify for. Probably not, Diane agrees, which is why option 3 exists. Eviction. Eviction, she confirms. In Ohio, if there's no lease agreement, they're considered tenants at will. You can terminate that tenancy with 30 days written notice. If they don't leave, you file for eviction. The process takes 60 to 90 days, sometimes longer if they fight it. It's not pretty, it's not fun, but it's legal. I look at the documents, lease agreement, purchase offer, eviction notice. I can't evict my parents, I say. I'm not saying you should, Diane says gently. I'm saying you need leverage. Right now, they think they're in control. They think you'll never stand up to them, that you'll eventually sign over the house. That they can treat you however they want, because what are you going to do about it? She taps the lease agreement. You present them with options 1 and 2, sign a lease and pay rent or buy the house. Those are reasonable, generous even, but you make it clear that if they refuse both, option 3 happens. You have to be willing to follow through. And if they choose option 3, if they refuse and dare me to evict them? Diane meets my eyes. Then you evict them, because otherwise you're teaching them that your boundaries mean nothing. I think about Grandma, about the woman who paid off a mortgage as a widowed single mother on a teacher's salary, who put herself through a master's degree at night school, who never, ever let anyone push her around. How long to draft everything? I ask. I can have it ready by end of day tomorrow, Diane says. But Jenna, you need to be sure. Once you present this to them, there's no going back. The relationship changes permanently. The relationship is already gone, I say. They changed the Wi-Fi password on Christmas to remind me I'm not really family. They're planning to manipulate me into signing away my inheritance. There's nothing left to preserve. Diane nods. Okay, let's do this right. We spend the next 2 hours going over every detail. The lease terms, the buyout price, the timeline. Diane recommends I present everything at a family meeting, not a casual conversation, but a formal sit-down with witnesses if possible. You want Ryan there? She asks. I think about it. Yes, he's part of this. He's the one they're planning to give the house to. And his wife, Brittany. I want witnesses who aren't emotionally invested in my parents' narrative. Smart, Diane says, and you present this when? I look at the calendar. Today is January 2nd. My parents think I'm still at work, tying up year-end business. They have no idea what's coming. New Year's Day would have been perfect, I say. Clean slate, new beginning, all that symbolism. New Year's Day was yesterday. I know, but I can call it a New Year family meeting. Make it sound positive, like I want to discuss plans for the year. They'll come in expecting me to announce I'm moving out. Instead, you hand them a lease agreement and a reality check. Exactly. Diane prints everything. 3 copies of the lease agreement, 3 copies of the purchase offer, 1 copy of the eviction notice template, not filled out yet, just ready if I need it. She puts it all in a professional folder, the kind we use for client presentations. One more thing, she says. When you do this, stay calm, don't get emotional, don't get drawn into an argument. You're not asking for permission or negotiating whether this is fair. You're presenting them with their options. Be matter of fact. Be clear, and be prepared for them to lose their minds. I'm a lawyer, I say. I can handle hostile witnesses. These aren't witnesses, Diane says quietly. They're your parents. It's going to hurt even if you're right, especially because you're right. She's not wrong, but I'm done protecting myself from hurt by letting myself be destroyed. I take the folder and I go home. That night I text the family group chat. Can we do a family meeting on New Year's Day? Have some things I want to discuss for the year ahead. Need everyone there, Mom, Dad, Ryan, Brittany. 10 a.m., I'll make coffee. My mother responds immediately. Of course, honey. Is everything okay? Everything's fine, I type. Just want to go over some planning stuff. Ryan, can't we just do this over text? Me, it's important. I need everyone in person. There's a pause, then my dad. We'll be there. Ryan, fine, but I have plans at noon. This won't take long, I promise. I spend the next few days in a strange state of calm. I go to work, I come home, I'm polite to my parents. I don't mention the meeting. I don't act any differently. My mother keeps asking if I'm sure everything's okay, if there's something she should know. Just some planning things, I say every time. Nothing to worry about. I catch her and my dad having whispered conversations that stop when I enter the room. I wonder if they think I'm finally going to announce I'm moving out. Or maybe that I've met someone. Or maybe, and this would be just like them, that I'm going to offer to sign the house over. Let them wonder. New Year's Eve arrives. Ryan and Brittany come over for dinner, my mother's tradition, the family all together to ring in the new year. She makes her standing rib roast, the expensive one she orders special from the butcher. She sets the table with Grandma's good china, the set that was supposed to come to me, but that she's kept in the dining room hutch and uses for special occasions. I almost say something about the china. Then I remember, tomorrow everything changes. I can wait one more day. Dinner is awkward. My mother is in a strangely good mood, talking too much, laughing too loud. My father keeps looking at me like he's trying to figure something out. Ryan is on his phone half the time, barely paying attention. Brittany is the only one who seems normal. She asks me about work, about the cases I'm working on, actually listens to my answers. After dinner, Ryan corners me in the kitchen while I'm loading the dishwasher. So this meeting tomorrow, he says, what's it about? I rinse a plate, slide it into the rack. Just some planning stuff, financial things. Mom said you wanted to talk about the house. I didn't say anything about the house, which means my mother is already building a narrative. The house is part of it, I say carefully. You're not asking us for money, are you? He says it like it's a joke, but there's an edge underneath. Because Brittany and I are pretty tapped right now. I turn to look at him. My little brother, who's never had to fight for anything, who's always assumed the world would provide. Who thinks I might ask him for money when I'm the one who owns property and pays my bills on time? No, Ryan, I say. I'm not asking you for money. He looks relieved. Okay, good. I mean, if you needed help with the mortgage or whatever. There is no mortgage. Grandma owned the house outright. Right, yeah, you know what I mean. I don't think he does know what he means. I don't think he's ever thought about any of this critically. We'll talk about everything tomorrow, I say. That night, my mother leaves something on my bed. Again. I find it when I go upstairs around 11. Everyone else has gone to the living room to watch the ball drop, but I've excused myself, claiming a headache. It's a printout, a Zillow listing for a one-bedroom apartment in a complex across town. Nice enough if you like bland corporate housing. $1,100 a month plus utilities. There's a sticky note attached in my mother's handwriting. Saw this, so cute for you. New year, fresh start. Read, Mom. I look at it for a long moment. Then I take a picture of it with my phone and I send it to Marcus with the caption, "My mother's idea of a New Year's gift." He responds immediately even though it's midnight in New York and he's probably at a party. Oh, hell no. Please tell me tomorrow is the day. Tomorrow is the day, I type back. Good, burn it down metaphorically. Metaphorically, I confirm. I don't burn the printout. I add it to my folder of evidence, just in case. I sleep better than I have in months. New Year's Day morning. I wake up at 7 and I don't feel nervous. I thought I would. Thought I'd be second-guessing myself, running through worst-case scenarios, maybe even chickening out entirely. Instead, I feel clear. Focused. Like I'm preparing for a deposition or a closing, not a confrontation with my own family. I shower, dress in what I think of as my lawyer uniform. Dark jeans, a crisp white button-down, the good blazer. I'm not trying to intimidate anyone, but I'm also not doing this in pajamas. I need the armor. I go downstairs and I make coffee. The good stuff, the beans I buy from the local roaster that my dad always complains are too expensive. I set the dining room table, Grandma's table, solid oak, the one she hosted every holiday on with 5 places. I put the folder Diane prepared at the head of the table, my seat. Then I wait. My parents sleep in, they always do on holidays. I hear them moving around upstairs around 8:30, the shower running, the low murmur of conversation. I wonder if they're talking about me, about what I might say, about how they'll respond. At 9:45, Ryan's car pulls into the driveway. I watch through the front window as he and Brittany get out. She's carrying Mason on her hip. I hadn't expected them to bring him, but it's fine. Better, maybe. A witness who's too young to have an agenda. I open the door before they can knock. Hey, Ryan says, he looks wary. So what's this about? Come in, I say. We'll wait for Mom and Dad. Brittany gives me a searching look as she passes. You okay? She asks quietly. I will be, I tell her. They settle in the living room. Mason immediately finds the basket of toys my mother keeps for him. More evidence of the golden child treatment. The way she's always prepared for Ryan's family, but treated my presence as an imposition. At exactly 10, I hear my parents on the stairs. My mother appears first, already talking. I'm sorry, Jenna, but I have book club at noon, so we need to make this quick. I don't know why you couldn't just... She stops when she sees the dining room, the formal table setting, the folder. My father comes down behind her, and his expression shifts from mild annoyance to something more guarded. He's a man who spent 40 years in middle management. He recognizes the setup of a formal meeting. What's all this? He asks. Family meeting, I say. Like I told you, please everyone sit. There's a moment where no one moves. Then Brittany stands, shifting Mason to her other hip. Come on, she says to Ryan. Let's sit down. They take seats on one side of the table. My parents exchange a look, some silent communication I can't quite read, and then they sit across from Ryan and Brittany. I take the head of the table, Grandma's seat. I pull the folder toward me and I open it. My hands are steady. "Thank you all for being here," I say, and my voice sounds like it belongs to someone else. Someone calm and professional and completely in control. "I want to discuss the house and our living arrangement and some decisions that need to be made." My mother starts to say something, but I keep talking. "First, I want to make sure we're all on the same page about the facts." I pull out the deed and slide it to the center of the table where everyone can see it. "This house, 428 Maple Street, was left to me by Grandma Alina when she died 3 years ago. My name is the only name on the deed. I am the sole legal owner of this property." Silence. Mason babbles something and Brittany quietly gives him a board book to look at. My mother laughs. It's nervous, uncertain. "Well, yes, honey, technically the deed is in your name for estate purposes, but you know Grandma meant for this to be the family home." "Let me finish," I say, and something in my tone stops her. "I'm going to lay out all the facts and then we'll discuss options. Okay." My father's jaw clenches. "This feels very formal, Jenna." "It is formal, Dad. This is a legal and financial matter, and I'm handling it that way." I pull out the next set of documents, the property tax receipts. "For the past 3 years, I have paid the property taxes on this house, $6,100 annually, approximately." I slide the receipts across the table. Total, just over $18,000. Ryan picks up one of the receipts, looks at it, sets it down. "I've also paid the homeowner's insurance, $1,750 per year. Total, $5,250. More documents across the table. "I've paid for every major repair and most maintenance. New roof last year, $12,300. Water heater 2 years ago, $2,100. Furnace maintenance, plumbing, electrical, tree service." I slide the spreadsheet across. Total, $47,328 in 3 years. My mother's face has gone pale. "We've contributed." "You've contributed approximately $8,200 in utility payments over 3 years, I say. "Which I've accounted for here. I'm not disputing that you've paid some bills. I'm establishing what the actual split has been. 85% me, 15% you." The room is very quiet. "Now," I say, and I pull out the next document. "Let's talk about fair market value." I slide the rental comparisons across the table, the appraisal summary. A 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in this neighborhood, in good condition, has a fair market rental value of $1,800 to $2,000 per month. For 3 years, that would have been approximately $65,000 in rent. I let that number sit. I have collected 0. "Jenna," my father says, and his voice has that warning tone he used when I was a teenager pushing boundaries. "Where exactly is this going?" "I'm getting there." I pull out the lease agreement. "I'm offering you 2 options. Option 1, you can stay here as tenants under a formal lease agreement, $1,800 per month, which is fair market rate, 1-year term, renewable, standard tenant and landlord responsibilities, security deposit of $1,800 due upon signing." I slide 3 copies of the lease across the table. My mother picks one up like it might bite her. "Option 2, I continue, pulling out the purchase offer. "You can buy the house from me. The appraised value is $285,000. You'd need to qualify for a mortgage or pay cash. Standard 30-day escrow, I'd move out, and the house would be entirely yours." Ryan is staring at me. Brittany is staring at the documents. My father's face has gone from pale to red. "You want us to pay you rent," my mother says slowly. "To live in my mother's house." "To live in my house," I correct gently, "which Grandma left to me." "She meant it for the family." My mother's voice is rising. "She wouldn't have wanted you charging us rent like we're strangers." "Actually," I say, and I pull out my phone. I bring up the screenshots. "I think we should talk about what Grandma wanted versus what you've been planning." I slide my phone across the table. open to the text conversation between my mother and Ryan from November. Ryan sees it first. All the color drains from his face. My mother picks up the phone. She reads. Her hand starts to shake. "We need to get her to sign it over before she gets ideas," I read aloud from memory. "Just tell her it's for estate planning. She'll do whatever you say." Brittany's eyes go wide. "Oh my God," she whispers. My mother sets the phone down very carefully. "That's out of context. We were just discussing. You were discussing how to manipulate me into giving up my inheritance." My voice is still calm, but there's steel in it now. "You were planning to trick me into signing away the house Grandma specifically left to me." "That's not what. We were trying to make sure the family." My mother is floundering. "The family?" I feel something crack in my chest. 3 years of held-back words start spilling out. "You've spent 3 years treating me like a burden in my own house, like an embarrassing child you can't wait to get rid of. You changed the Wi-Fi password on Christmas morning, the internet I pay for, just to remind me that I don't really belong here." "It was just the Wi-Fi, for God's sake," my father snaps. "You're being dramatic." "No," I say, and my voice is shaking now. "It wasn't just the Wi-Fi. It was the thermostat you locked so I can't control the heat in my house. It was redecorating my bedroom into a guest room. It was throwing out my kitchen supplies. It was taking over the garage so I have to park on the street. It was every comment about my job, my weight, my life choices. It was telling your friends that Ryan would inherit this place when you have no legal right to make that promise." Ryan flinches. "It was 3 years," I continue, "and I'm standing now, though I don't remember getting up, of making me feel like I was living on your charity when the entire time I've been subsidizing your retirement while you plotted to steal from me." "We are your parents," my mother cries, and now she's crying for real, mascara running. "We raised you. We took you in when you had nowhere to go." And something in me just snaps. "You didn't take me in," I say, and my voice comes out louder than I've ever spoken to them. "I took you in. After Grandma died and left me her house, I let you move in because I thought that's what family did, because I thought I was honoring her memory. But Grandma didn't leave you this house. She left it to me. She left it to me because I was the one who took care of her. I was the one who was there. And she wanted me taken care of." The silence after my words is deafening. Mason has stopped playing and is staring at me with wide eyes. Brittany puts a hand on his head, soothing. I sit back down. I take a breath. I make myself calm again. "Here are your options," I say quietly. "Sign the lease and pay $1,800 a month in rent with all standard tenant responsibilities and protections. Or make me an offer to buy the house at market value. Those are both reasonable options. I'm not trying to punish you. I'm trying to establish appropriate boundaries." "And if we refuse?" my father asks. His voice is cold. I pull out the last document. The eviction notice template, blank but official looking. "If you refuse both options, I will provide you with 30 days written notice to vacate the property. If you don't leave voluntarily, I'll file for eviction. The process takes 60 to 90 days in Ohio, but it will happen." "You'd evict your own parents," my mother says. "It's not a question, it's an accusation." "I don't want to," I say honestly. "That's why I'm offering you 2 other choices. But I'm done living like a guest in my own house. I'm done being disrespected and taken advantage of. And I'm done letting you plan my future without my consent." I close the folder. "You have until January 7th to decide. Sign the lease, make an offer on the buyout, or start packing. Those are your options." I stand up. My legs are shaking, but I don't let it show. "I'll be in my room if you want to discuss this calmly. Otherwise, I'll expect your decision by the 7th. And I walk out of the dining room, up the stairs, into the beige guest room that used to be mine. I close the door and I sit on the edge of the bed, and I wait for my hands to stop shaking. Downstairs, I can hear voices. My mother's crying has gotten louder. My father is saying something in a low, angry tone. Ryan is talking. I can't make out words, but the cadence sounds defensive. Then I hear the front door open and close. Car doors, an engine starting. Ryan and Brittany, leaving. 15 minutes later, there's a soft knock on my door. "Jenna," it's Brittany's voice. I open the door. She's alone, Mason on her hip. She must have made Ryan wait in the car. "I just wanted to say," she tells me quietly, "good for you. I had no idea about any of that. The texts, the planning. Ryan didn't either, I swear. He's pretty shaken up." "I believe you," I say. "And for what it's worth," she adds, "you're right about all of it. This is your house. You've been incredibly generous. They should be paying rent at minimum." She reaches out and squeezes my arm, then heads back downstairs. I hear the front door again, their car pulling away. Then silence. My parents don't speak to me for the rest of that day, or the next day. They stay in their bedroom, Grandma's bedroom, and communicate only through pointed silence and heavy sighs when we pass in the hallway. I don't push. I go to work on January 2nd like normal. I come home, make myself dinner, eat alone at the kitchen counter. The house feels like a Cold War zone. On January 3rd, around 7 in the evening, there's a knock on my bedroom door. My father is standing there, no longer red-faced but gray and tired-looking. He's holding the lease agreement. "Your mother and I will pay the rent," he says, no preamble, "but don't expect us to like it." I take the lease from him. They've both signed, dated it. The signature lines look like they were signed with angry pressure. The ink is heavy, the paper slightly torn. "I don't expect you to like it," I say quietly. "I expect you to respect me." He looks at me for a long moment. I can't read his expression. "Is this really what you want?" he asks, "tearing this family apart over money?" "This isn't about money, Dad. This is about you and Mom treating me like I'm worthless while planning to steal my inheritance. The money is just how I'm protecting myself." He doesn't respond to that, just turns and goes back downstairs. I look at the signed lease in my hands and I feel, not triumphant exactly, not happy, just solid, like I'm standing on ground that won't shift under me anymore. On January 5th, a check appears on the kitchen counter. $1,800 made out to me. Memo line, January rent. I deposit it the same day. I open a new savings account, 428 Maple Street Maintenance Fund, and that's where the money goes. Every month, $1,800, for the roof repairs I'll need in another 15 years, for the furnace that will eventually need replacing, for the house that is mine that I will take care of the way Grandma trusted me to. Over the next 2 weeks, something shifts in the house. It's not warmth, exactly. My mother still barely speaks to me. My father and I exchange pleasantries about weather and dinner plans, but nothing deeper. But the disrespect stops. Dad doesn't touch the thermostat anymore without asking. When I adjust it to 70 because I'm cold, it stays there. Mom stops making comments about my appearance, my job, my life. When her book club comes over, I hear her say, "Jenna's doing very well at her firm. Real estate law." Not much, but more acknowledgement than I've gotten in years. They ask before they use things, before they have people over, before they make plans that involve the house. It's transactional. It's formal. It's not the family relationship I once hoped we'd have. But it's respectful, and that's worth more than fake warmth ever was. Ryan doesn't come over for 2 weeks. Then, on January 18th, I get a text. "Can we talk?" We meet for coffee at a neutral location. He looks uncomfortable the entire time. "I didn't know," he says before I can even sit down. "About the texts, about Mom and Dad planning to get you to sign over the house. I swear, Jenna, I didn't know." "Okay," I say. "But I should have known something was wrong. The way they talked about you, about the house, I just never thought about it. I assumed," he stops. "I assumed a lot of things, that they were being fair, that you were okay with everything. I didn't ask because it was easier not to." "Yeah," I say. "I'm sorry." He looks at his coffee cup. "I've been the favorite my whole life and I never questioned it. Never thought about what that meant for you. That was shitty." It's not a complete reckoning. He's not suddenly a different person. But it's more self-awareness than Ryan's shown in 30 years, so I'll take it. "Thanks," I say, "for saying that. Are you and Mom and Dad ever going to be okay?" I don't know, I tell him honestly. But we're at least going to be honest now. That's something. We talk for another 20 minutes. Careful, surface-level stuff. He tells me about Mason's new daycare, about a job lead he's following up on. I tell him about a case I closed. We're not close, but we're not enemies. When we leave, he hugs me. Awkward and brief, but genuine. For what it's worth, he says, Brittany says you're a badass, and I think she's right. February passes. March. The rent checks come on the 1st of each month. My parents and I develop a routine of polite coexistence. We share the kitchen on a loose schedule. We split the utilities fairly now. I get copies of the bills. We calculate based on usage. Everything is documented. It's not the family I wanted, but it's the family that's honest. One Saturday in late March, I'm standing in my bedroom with paint swatches. The beige guest room that used to be mine, that Grandma painted soft blue when I was 12. I've decided to paint it back. I'm looking at shades of blue, sky, periwinkle, slate, when my mother appears in the doorway. You're redecorating, she says. Yeah, I'm going back to the blue Grandma chose. I always loved it. She's quiet for a moment. I remember when she painted it for you. You picked out the color together. Took you 3 trips to the hardware store to find the right shade. 4 trips, I correct. The first 3 weren't quite right. A ghost of a smile crosses my mother's face. Then it's gone. I know you think I didn't love her, she says quietly. My own mother, but I did. I know you did, Mom. I just didn't. I wasn't good at it. The caretaking, the medical stuff. It scared me. She's looking at the beige walls, not at me. You were always better at that, better at a lot of things. I don't know what to say to that. It might be the most honest thing she's said to me in 5 years. The house should have gone to you, she continues. I was angry when the will was read, but you were the one who earned it. You were there for her. Mom, I'm not going to apologize for everything, she cuts me off. I'm still angry about the rent, about you embarrassing us in front of Ryan and Brittany, but you were right, about some of it. We took advantage. It's not a full apology, it's not a breakthrough, but it's acknowledgement. Thank you for saying that, I tell her. She nods once and leaves. I go back to the paint swatches. I pick the periwinkle, almost exactly the shade I remember from being 12, from reading in the window seat while Grandma made cookies downstairs. I paint the room over the next 2 weekends. My parents stay out of my way. When I'm done and the furniture is back in place, I stand in the doorway and look at the blue walls and I feel something settle in my chest. This is my room in my house, painted the color I chose. Nobody's guest room, nobody's temporary space. Mine. 3 months after New Year's Day, I'm sitting in that blue room at the desk I bought myself. A beautiful vintage piece I found at an estate sale, the kind of thing Grandma would have loved, and I'm reviewing a pitch deck. Not for work, for myself. A former colleague reached out last week. She's starting a company, financial literacy education for women, focusing on legal rights around property and inheritance. She wants to know if I'd consult, maybe come on as an advisor. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about a lot of things. About going back to school for an MBA. About starting my own practice. About what I want my life to look like now that I'm not spending all my energy managing other people's feelings. About the fact that I'm 32 years old, I own property outright, I have a career I'm good at, and I've finally stopped letting people convince me I'm not enough. I think about Grandma, about what she told me before she died, in one of those last clear conversations we had. You're going to have to fight for yourself, Jenna, she said. She was in the hospital bed I'd set up in her living room, oxygen tube in her nose, but her eyes were sharp. People are going to underestimate you. They're going to take advantage if you let them. Even people who love you, especially people who love you. I know, I'd said. I'm leaving you the house because I trust you to take care of it, she continued. But more than that, I'm leaving it to you so you'll always have something that's yours. Something no one can take from you. Promise me you won't give it away. I promise, Grandma. I'd kept that promise, eventually. It took me 3 years and a changed Wi-Fi password to remember it, but I kept it. I close the laptop, and I look around my blue room in my house that I fought for. And I think about you, whoever you are, watching this or listening to this or reading this. Maybe you're in a situation like mine was. Maybe someone in your family is treating you like you're less than. Maybe you're subsidizing someone else's life while they make you feel like a burden. Maybe you've been told the house, the business, the inheritance, the credit for your own work belongs to someone else. Maybe you've been letting them get away with it because you think that's what love means, what family means, what being a good daughter, good sister, good wife, good employee means. Let me tell you what I learned. First, read everything. Know what you own. Know what you signed. Know your legal position before someone tries to convince you that you don't have one. I spent 3 years acting like a guest in my own house because I didn't fully internalize what that deed meant. Don't make my mistake. Second, family obligation is not the same as self-erasure. Honoring the people you love doesn't mean letting yourself be destroyed. Grandma didn't give me that house so I could be a doormat. She gave it to me so I'd be protected. Your inheritance, whether it's money, property, or just your own dignity, is meant to protect you, not trap you. Third, small cruelties reveal big truths. The Wi-Fi password wasn't just petty. It was a symptom of total disrespect, of a fundamental belief that I didn't matter. When someone shows you through small actions that they don't value you, believe them. Don't wait for the big betrayal. The small ones are enough. Fourth, boundaries without enforcement are just suggestions. I could have asked my parents nicely to respect me. I could have had heart-to-hearts about my feelings. I'd tried that. It didn't work. What worked was showing them the lease agreement and the eviction notice and making it clear that I would follow through. You can't negotiate with people who don't see you as an equal. Sometimes you have to show them the power structure. And fifth, you cannot fix a relationship by making yourself smaller. I tried that for 3 years. I stayed quiet, I didn't make waves, I let things go. And they just took more. It wasn't until I stood up, took up space, used my power that things changed. The relationship isn't what I wanted. It's never going to be warm and close, but it's real now. And real is better than fake. If someone is treating you like a guest in your own life, whether that's your home, your career, your marriage, your family, your story, you have permission to pull out the deed. Metaphorically or literally. You have permission to say, "This is mine. You don't get to take it from me." You have permission to set terms, charge rent, draw boundaries, enforce consequences. You have permission to stop setting yourself on fire to keep other people warm. Will they be angry? Probably. Will they accuse you of being selfish, ungrateful, cruel? Almost definitely. Will the relationship change? Absolutely. But you know what? You'll still have your house, your dignity, your self-respect, the things that are actually yours. And that's worth more than someone else's approval ever could be. So wherever you're watching this from, and I really want to know, drop a comment and tell me where you are, what brought you here. I want you to know. If you've ever had to remind someone whose name is really on the deed, whose work really built the business, whose effort really holds things together, you're not alone. If you've ever been made to feel small in a space that should be yours, I see you. If you've ever had to choose between keeping the peace and keeping your soul, I understand. And if you're in that moment right now, trying to decide whether to fight or let it go, let me tell you, fight. Fight smart. Fight with documentation and lawyers and boundaries and consequences. But fight. Because the people who love you shouldn't require you to disappear. And the things that are yours, legally, ethically, spiritually yours, are worth protecting. Sometimes the smallest disrespect is the door that opens to the biggest change. Walk through it. Check what your name is on. Know what you own. Read what you sign. Document everything. And when someone tries to take what's yours, show them the deed. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. And if this resonated with you, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and absolutely smash that hype button because you deserve to take up space. Tell me in the comments, have you ever had to set a boundary that changed everything? Have you ever had to fight for something that should have been freely given? I'll be reading every single one. This is Jenna, signing off from 428 Maple Street. My house, my blue room, my story. And nobody gets to take that from me ever again. Draft the documents, I tell Diane. I'll let you know when I'm ready to use them.